Buckle up, buttercups, we're going for a ride on the wild side of YouTube. Hello and welcome to Grumpy Old Crone with me, Annie, where I will be whinging about things that don't matter very much in the witchcraft and pagan communities for about the next half an hour, give or take. So, shall we get stuck straight into it? So, first up, I'm going to talk to you about witchy aesthetics. Okay, so last week I did my witchy aesthetics section was about my altar, so hopefully everybody out there has had a chance to have a look at my altar. If you haven't and you're interested, I'll link the video so that you can go and have a little bit of a look at it now. So the first thing that you will notice after you've looked at my stuff will realise that what it is not is colour coordinated and carefully and aesthetically curated. It's really not. A lot of it has really personal meaning for me. So things like pots that were made for me by friends, knives that have a huge story behind them. None of it has a theme beyond it means a lot to me. And, you know, I think that's fine. It works really well for me. I think that meaning gives the work that I do with those tools a lot of power, you know, certainly more power than if I'd gone to Poundland and assembled a random selection of colour coordinated items and then assembled them to look as attractive as possible on my altar. Do I think that you need to buy hugely expensive tools in order to make them powerful and meaningful on your altar? No, I don't. But equally, I don't think that if the reason that you're not spending much money on buying tools is because you want to have enough money in order to buy a new set of tools every single time you set up your altar, then I think you've got that one arse about face as well. You should only spend what you can afford, and you should use things that make your heart sing. So, yeah, you can spend hundreds of pounds on a hand-forged athame that's inlaid with moonstones that have been ethically sourced and has been hand stitched by a magical practitioner under the light of a full moon. And if you buy something like that, it will probably cost you, well, a metric shit ton of money is what I think it will probably cost you. But is that going to be any more meaningful than, say, your grandmother's kitchen knife that she used to cut the vegetables and prepare every single meal that you had when you went round to visit her? No, I think it will have much less meaning than your grandmother's knife. And to start with, it won't have any meaning or power at all. It will just be a thing that you bought. Over time, what you do with it will layer meaning and power on top of that. So eventually it won't just become that really fancy moonstone athame that you bought that one time. What it will become is the athame that you used to bless your new home when you moved into it, or to perform a cord cutting ritual with a really abusive ex, or to carve a wish into a candle for the child that came to be born 9 months later. These are the things that layer meaning onto tools, not the amount of money that you spend on them. I've seen some really good comments on my videos about people who find items for their altars. They spend very, very little. So people will find branches that they cut down to use as wands, or they will find rocks to use instead of crystals on their altars. And those things have huge personal meaning to them, and that's wonderful. And they cost them absolutely nothing. But equally, if you live in the kind of area where you can't just pick that sort of stuff up, and I know many of us live in city environments where that's not easy to come by, then spending money is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. It's not the method of how you get it that gives it meaning. It's what you do with it. However, what will not layer meaning on any of your tools is buying new things every single time you need to alter your altar. Alter your altar. I like that. See? Spelled differently. Alter your altar. YouTube is full of videos telling you cheap, affordable ways to set up an altar. And those are really great if you're setting up something for the first time and you don't quite know what you're doing. then you don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on things that you might not use. Because, you know, we don't all use everything that's on our altars. If I'm honest, I curate mine on an ongoing basis. I don't use everything that's on my altar all the time. And every single time I have a clear off and a rejig of what's there, I look at it and I think, is this something that I really need to keep there or not? So what are the things that I find most useful? Well, every single time I sit at my altar, the very first thing I do is I light candles. Candles really hugely important to my personal practice, not to everybody. And if you're in a rented apartment or somewhere with smoke alarms or heat alarms, then a candle might be absolutely the last thing that you want. But for me personally, I find candlelight really informs my practice, and I use it for meditation, and I use it to get into the right frame of mind for when I'm doing magical work. So first of all, candles. Secondly, I will always use incense. If I'm using it as tribute for deity or spirit, if I'm doing ancestor work, I will usually use loose incense. If I'm just using it, say, to mark out the air quarter on my circle, then I will very often use stick incense. I use my singing bowl to raise power every single time, and because I now have a really, really amazing wand, then I use that all the time to demarcate my circles and to direct power. I also use, in terms of aesthetics, I'll use an altar cloth, and I have like little embroideries that you might have seen on the altar video as well, that I use. Those are the only things I use to decorate because I don't have a whole lot of space. So something that will have relevance, I hope, to people who are looking to work with their heritage and the land that they're on will be reading around their subject. A lot of my reading is not expressly witchy reading. It's about folklore, it's about the history of the land, it's about the people who were here and how they lived and worked and how magic was part of that life. And I will say that the records bear this out heavily, certainly in the areas that I look at, and I'm looking primarily at two of the English counties that have a link for me, so Lincolnshire and Essex, so both on that east coast of England. And when you look back at the people who've practiced there, and there's a big history of practice of cunning folk, they didn't always call themselves witches, but the cunning folk along this area of England, then they didn't do much with ritual tools at all. These people, these witches, these cunning folk, got a very long way with jars, pins, paper, ink, a little bit of wee, some brandy, and a whole lot of concentration. You know, they didn't have huge setup altars. They didn't have ritual moonstone athames. They just did what they did. And it was successful because of the power and the practice and the meaning that they laid onto what they did and the tools that they had. So always remember that the meaning of your tools is what you put on it by the active use of them. You can't do it just by looking at it and going, you are now a powerful spoon for ladling out incense. But if you use that spoon every single time for measuring out the exact amount of incense that you want to put onto your offering to your deity or your spirit, then eventually it will stop becoming just a spoon that you use for a job, and it will start to become the ritual spoon. And that is the point at which it gains its own power. And that goes for everything on your altar. So we're going to move on now to the bit you've all been waiting for. Well, actually not all of you, but maybe a couple of you been waiting for. It's the meat and 2 potatoes of today's video. So this channel has been, from the get-go a year ago, quite a steep learning experience for me. The learning curve is kind of like like that, really. I've learned a lot, and the biggest thing that I've learned is that there's always more to learn the further you go along the path. And the last few weeks have given me a real insight into something that previously I've only ever seen from one side of the YouTube divide between creators and viewers, and that is brand deals. Wow. Brand deals. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to confess at this point that I did ask my Patreons about whether I should go public with this or not. And my patrons, are you patrons or Patreons? I don't know. But anyway, the lovely folk who support me over there they were so caring, and they were all really worried that if I had a right old public whinge about some of this stuff, then people would come for me. And I've done a lot of sitting with that. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you for everybody who was kind enough to say that they were worried about me. You're just bloody lovely, all of you. I love you. And I would like to say that I personally have considerably less respect for my own personal well-being than you apparently do, because that's exactly what I'm about to do. So if you know me, you know that generally if I throw a punch at somebody, then I will obfuscate their name and ask people not to go digging, because, you know, let's keep people anonymous. Let's not be the mean girls in the room, or boys, or non-binary people. Let's not do that, okay? But in this case, I think I'm going to step up to the mark and actually identify people, because some of them really deserve to be identified, so that you can see what happens on the other side of this camera. Okay, because if I was in your seat, I would find that really interesting. So I'm hoping that you do as well. So buckle up, buttercups. We're going for a ride on the wild side of YouTube. So, a couple of weeks ago, I got an email in my inbox, and I got quite excited about it. Because when you see, you know, the big shot content creators, and I watch quite a few of them, when you see them, sometimes they do like these brand deals in their videos. You know, they will talk about the thing, you know, here is the Plumbus 3000. I have used the Plumbus 3000 for years, and it is brilliant. If you buy the Plumbus 3000, then use the code Bob25, then you will get 25% off of your Plumbus 3000, and your life can be as amazingly improved as mine. And, you know, they'll talk about it, and they'll say how brilliant it is, and then they'll try to get you to go and buy it, which you can or you cannot, depending on how you feel about the situation. As you've probably guessed, if you've watched any of my videos, I'm quite a stubborn and opinionated person. And I'm one of those very irritating people that if you tell me to do something, I will pretty much guarantee to not do it, because I don't like being told what to do. These brand deals, I've never gone for one. I've never bought something because, as I say, I'm stubborn. But I am intrigued. I'm intrigued because they must make creators quite a bit of money, right? I mean, why would you sit there and talk about your Plumbus 3000 if it wasn't going to make you any money? So I'm assuming that, you know, big bucks. So here's the email. Bear with me while I look down here. Okay, so it says, Dear Annie, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Darcy, and I am reaching out on behalf of the Spooky 2 team. I wanted to take a moment to express my sincere admiration for your outstanding work on spiritual enlightenment. Sorry, straight face, Annie. Your outstanding work on spiritual enlightenment. It's truly commendable how dedicated you are to sharing valuable content that enhances the lives of others. Now, if you've watched my channel at all, then you will understand why this initial paragraph did, well, it kind of gained my attention, and it did not fill me with faith about how this brand deal was going to work. My outstanding work on spiritual enlightenment. Do you think they meant the one where I ranted incoherently about how rubbish I thought resin was? Or do you think maybe it was the one where I just screamed at the camera? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it was the one where I said bollocks a lot. I don't know. Bollocks. Maybe. Who knows? And whilst I enjoy the fact that people have a happy half hour once a week with me talking complete twaddle, I think categorising it as, being dedicated to sharing valuable content that enhances the lives of others, I think that might be pushing it a little bit, don't you? And then there's that second sentence, the name of the company, Spooky 2. Spooky too. I mean, does that sound like a sensible company that is selling you something that will enhance your life? Or does it, as I thought before I Googled it, sound like a company that sells second-hand, slightly dodgy haunted dolls? Having looked it up online, all I can say is that if it was a company that sold slightly dodgy second-hand haunted dolls, I think it would probably have more ethical grist behind it than what it actually is. So I encourage you to open up another tab on your phone or your computer, wherever you're watching this. Enter the phrase spooky 2. Okay, that's a spooky 2 with a number, right? And have a bit of a look around. Pause me and have a look around, and it'll be okay. I'll wait. Okay, I'll be here waiting. So now you know. Okay, these people wanted to send me a machine that sends electromagnetic waves that can apparently cure literally everything. Literally everything in life, because every illness has some kind of magnificent, some kind of electromagnetic frequency. I mean, even that's a mouthful. Frequency that you can target like a gun and wipe out that illness or problem with one of these amazing spooky 2 machines. Oh, God. My head is hurting just thinking about it. They claim that sending low-powered radio waves through your body can cure everything from Lyme disease to, get it, cancer. Are you confused? I'm confused, and confused is exactly what they want you to be, because if you are confused, then you are easy to sell stuff to. And if you are confused and desperate, you're even more likely to buy some of this snake oil crud. If you or somebody that you know and love is looking down the barrel of a cancer diagnosis, then yeah, you're going to try everything there is. I mean, there's a program out at the moment. If you're watching this 6 months down the line, this won't make any sense. But if you're watching it now, apple cider vinegar on, I think it's Netflix, yeah, is about this very thing. It's selling hope and snake oil to people who have none. And that's exactly what this machine is doing. So they wanted me to try out this machine. They were going to send me a machine. And then they wanted me to make a series of videos, not just one, a series of videos telling you about how amazing it was. And then I was going to be asked to offer you a discount of up to 5% on one of these amazing machines that can cure anything, including cancer. I mean, I don't have to tell you there's literally no scientific proof for this, do I? You're on board with me here. It does not cure Lyme disease and cancer, or bad knees, or headaches, or Chiari malformations, or whatever might be your issue. It doesn't. Let's just have that there, okay? But they wanted me to offer a 5% discount on these machines. Now, I would like you to know that these machines market between $345 for the very cheapest, most basic setup to well over $3,000. Okay, so if somebody bought the absolute most basic setup, you were going to get a 5% discount on that, and then I was going to get 4% of that discount that you had had. I mean, I'd like you to go, well, you don't have to go away and do the maths on this, okay, because I wrote it down. I would be making between $13 and $120 every time I suckered some poor person into buying a bit of rubbish that they didn't need. I started off thinking that it was quite funny because, you know, spooky too. Me, spiritual intuition leader of the future bollocks. Yeah, I thought that was quite funny. But then the more I thought about it, the angrier I actually got. Because they've obviously just tagged me as woo-woo content creator, and thought that when I hit some kind of magic number of subscribers, because I'm fairly sure that's what it is, you hit a magic number of subscribers and then all of a sudden they target things at you. And they thought that I was going to be an absolute slam dunk as a small content creator to sell this bollocks to people who watch me. And that makes me really angry, because what price integrity? Do these people really think that I'm prepared to compromise a year of community building and conversations and work just to sell some of you lovely people a piece of complete hokum bunkum equipment that will do absolutely nothing apart from separate you from your hard-earned money? That really offends me. It really offends me. Now, I'm not saying that every person out there doing brand deals on their YouTube channel is a fraud or prioritising money over anything else. Some of the stuff I'm sure people really value and really like, and that's fine. I am not in their shoes. I don't know what happens there. But I can tell you that I think what was offered to me was an absolute scam and trying to use me to take advantage of you. And I think that's horrible. And I'm never going to, well, do it. No. The Taurus in me is coming out. No. And I do think it's something to do with this random number of subscribers that you may or may not have. Because a couple of weeks after that, I got another one, and it was by somebody selling crystal jewellery. And basically what they were selling was elasticated crystal bracelets. You know, the kind of thing. Oh, I've got one on there. There you go. I've got a tiger's eye one on there. I've bought a number of these over the years because I think they're quite pretty and they're elastic. They slip on easily and I like them. I've got a rose quartz one. I've got a selenite one. I've got a tiger's eye one. I've got a lapis one. And I think the most I've ever paid for one of these is about £8, maybe 10 for the lapis one, maybe. They're not expensive. I mean, the selenite one was like £4, I think, at a rock, gem and bead show last year. So they're not expensive things. However, this company was promoting them and they were selling them at like between 25 and £30. You can buy them for £4. But because they came in a fancy box and because some poor sucker YouTuber was selling them to you, you were meant to want to pay £30 for something that should have cost you £4. And they would probably have given me some kind of discount, or I was allowed to pick whatever jewellery I wanted. I don't want any jewellery. I don't want any new jewellery. I can buy it for £4 at the Rock, Gem and Bead show in Newark. Shut up. No. This has been a journey. And it's been a journey I've loved. And so many, some people here will be watching this for the first time, and that's absolutely fine. Welcome, lovely, nice to see you. I hope you come back again. Hit subscribe. But there's a lot of people out there, I know from my comments section, I know the people who come up. The people I really value talking to and connecting with, because the same names come up in my comments time after time. And these are people who support me on Patreon. These are people who talk to me. These are people who sit through the adverts so that I get, a fraction of a penny of income that comes in. These are people that I'm having real relationships with, albeit through a lens, but you're real people. And I am so grateful for that support. And the idea that I would somehow be prepared to sell you down the line by attempting to flog you bollocks, I find that very fucking offensive. Very offensive. Now, I'm not going to say, I'm never going to stand up and say these are things that I really love. But you can guarantee that if I say that on this channel, then they are things that I really love. Things like my son's carving, I think, is amazing. I love it. I'm really happy that some people out there have commissioned some. I know it's made a big difference to him, and I know it's made a big difference to you when you've got in contact with me and told me that you love the stuff. That's great. The books, Ali English's herbal books, the wild medicine books that I recommended last year, they sold out. They sold out, and they're having to do another print run, which will incidentally be more available in America than this current one was. So it's like a whole volume rather than 3 individual volumes. She's going to do some extra stuff in there as well. So, brilliant. But they're really good books. So, great carving, good books. They're things that I believe in and I'm sharing like I would if you and me were sat down having a cup of tea or a coffee and a biscuit together. That is what I would be talking to you. It's how I talk to my friends, because that's kind of how I see you. out there. And the idea that I would take advantage of my friends is horrible. I'm not going to do it. And spooky too. Fuck off. And honestly, if I get one more brand deal landing in my inbox telling me about how much they value the incredible spiritual work I'm doing with the community, I may just barf in my singing bowl. And that's not going to open anybody's third eye chakra, I promise you. So I'm incredibly lucky that you come along with me week after week on this mad journey, and you listen to me rant about ridiculous things. And I don't see you as income generating opportunities. I genuinely don't. You're real people that I have lovely conversations with, and I'm very grateful to the people who prepared to sit through an advert before the video or support me on Patreon. It just makes a huge difference to me. It genuinely makes a huge difference to me, and I'm so grateful for it. And you're never ever going to be a way for me just to exploit you and make money out of you. Right, on with the positive bits. Here comes the positive bits. Right, so I don't know about where you are, but here it's really sunny, very lovely. Spring has sprung in England. And I thought I would go out and do some grumpy old gardening, because it's getting to that time of year when I need to plant things and get things started. So here's my garden, little bit of grumpy old gardening. So welcome to my garden, which is now starting to enter spring. And as you can see, here comes the girls running towards us to say hello. Say hello to all the grumpies, girls. We've got, this is Dion and this is Doreen. Who are quite happy and are laying eggs on a fairly regular basis now. So all is well with the girls. Off we go, girls. So you can see things are starting to come into bud here. We've got, this is my apple tree. Thanks everybody for suggesting pollinators. The big problem is getting the right pollinators. I think this one is a triploid. I got it during lockdown, didn't get enough information with it, and can't find the right pollinators. Oh well, we'll figure it out eventually. And around here, my bay tree is going mad, as is the fancy japonica. And a new thing that wasn't here last time we had a look around is my rhubarb, which I rescued from my now defunct allotment, and I thought had died, but is in fact going bananas. Look at, well, it's going rhubarb. So look at that. I'm very happy about that. That's brilliant. Now you'll notice that I have got like little plastic boxes on top of stuff weighed down with rocks. This is entirely the fault of Dion and Doreen, who like eating everything. They keep knocking over my statue of Isis. Poor Isis, honestly. So I have realised that I can cover things in like these little cages and it stops them from getting to it quite so much. But hey ho. So there we go. This one is a cherry tree. Here we go. And we've got some alpine strawberries there. And this one is a plum tree that didn't do much last year, but we'll see. And there's my roses, and there's my sadly wilting in the heat marigolds. I'm going to give them a whole lot of water today, see if that helps at all. Here we have the grumpy old potting shed, which is where I am going to spend some time today. I call it the grumpy old potty shed. Potty shed? Well, actually, not far off. Mr. Grumpy Old Crone bought a prancing pony sign for it, which I love dearly. And there's another one of my green men. They are everywhere. So what we're going to do today is do some planting of seeds. You wouldn't believe this is way tidier than it was before. What happens to sheds over winter? I don't know. It's like the brownies come out and mess them up. But anyway, there's still a lot of rubbish in it, but it's a shed. It's not meant to look picture perfect. Yeah, so I'm going to get stuck into doing some planting. So what we're going to do today is we are going to plant these little beauties. So I've got some Bright Lights chard, which is really good. Sun Gold, honestly, I've grown so many different types of tomatoes over the year, but Sun Gold is by far the sweetest and the heaviest fruiting, and it will give us more tomatoes than we can possibly use. Then I've got some climbing beans. These are new ones for me. We'll see how they go. And some courgettes. My kids hate courgettes because I grew them too much when they were young, but now my kids have left home, so we are free to have loads and loads of courgettes. I've got another load of things, but these are going to be the main ones we're going to do today. Here's my potting compost. I would like to say I don't use special potting compost. I use whatever I have, and that's my cup of tea because that's necessary. And there are the girls having a bobble around in the garden, because it's always nice to have a bit of company when you're doing these things. Right, so that's those all planted. So I've got my sun gold tomatoes, I've got my courgette defenders. I found some pumpkins left over that I didn't plant last year, and they looked like they were good. So we've got some pumpkins at the back there, and over here we've got climbing beans, and at the back we've got a whole load of chard, because chard is really good when it's like baby leaves for salad, but then it gets bigger and you can eat it like asparagus, and it's just a really good, really versatile vegetable. So I grow lots of chard. So that's me for the day, and also I have now finished my cup of tea, so it's time to go inside and get on with the second half of my day. But I feel like I've had a morning well spent. And you know, when we look out here, I can see that's the elder tree in the neighbour's garden, and that's greening up beautifully. I've got a climbing rose over here, which is a Gertrude Jekyll rose, which is just the most gorgeously smelling, wonderful thing. My neighbour's lilac tree over here is really starting to green up and look glorious, and my raspberries are also starting to show the first signs of sprouting as well. I do have some bluebells down here, but it looks like the chickens sat in them, so you know, hey ho. That's what happens when you keep chickens. So yeah, there we go, and there's the girls once again decimating everything that I know and love. I'll leave you for today, because that's what I'm going to get done in the garden for today, and I have done it. So bye. Thank you for coming along. I'm going to shoot off now, go and edit this down, hopefully get it out tonight, and I'll see you next week. Bye.